Hello everybody and welcome to the last Crafters TV show of the day. It's so fantastic to have you here with us. I'm really pleased you could make it. Well, it's 6 p.m. here in the UK, so that makes it 1 p.m. on the East Coast, and I hope you've had a wonderful day so far, whatever you're doing. I hope you've done lots of lovely crafting bits. It's the best way to spend a Saturday, isn't it? Put away the housework. Yeah, the kids can look after themselves. The washing, it'll still be there tomorrow. So yes, just get on with the crafting and have a lovely Saturday. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our show so far. So we've taken you back to sort of the basics, and we've given you an insight, a bit into our tools, but we've given you a really good insight into our cardstocks. Now, this show's a little bit different. So this is our creative cravings, and it's all about what Jan feels are your essential tools, because she's picked what's gone into the show. That's not a blame. Honestly, no, Jan, I wasn't blaming you. She's laughing over that. This is, Jan had a look at what was on her craft table every time she crafts, and these are what she says are your essential tools. It's a question we get asked so often in our socials. Hi, I'm a new crafter. What do I need to start? You know, so hopefully we're going to sort of cut out all the myth and the mystique about all the tools that you might like. Might be some tools that you've already got that you never use, or there might be some tools that you can add to your Christmas list as well. So I've already mentioned, I've got the lovely Jan here, still sparkling away in her top.
Still snowing in my world.
Still
snowing over here, yeah. I don't know what's going on at this side.
It feels like it's snowing outside.
It's very chilly out there, yeah. It's very chilly. I always have a laugh when I come up here with my husband, because I always tell him that I'm going north of the wall. So people that watch certain programmes will understand what I mean by that. But yeah, it's always very chilly up here. But no, it's good. We've had a nice sort of recharged our batteries, so I hope you guys have too. And yes, I always tend to refer to what I've brought today. It was nice to be given a blank canvas, to be honest, and say, right, what would you like on the show, Jan? Because I don't always get that kind of input. We do sometimes, but not always. And I thought, right, what are the things that I use most regularly? And like I said, when we're demoing, you'll often see me with these things out at the side of me, because they're ones that I reach for time and time again. And that's what I've put together today to go into a little bit more detail for those of you that maybe haven't come across certain elements, what they're made of, what they do, how you figure them into your crafting. And that's what we're basically going to go through for you this evening, and just show you some of the sort of the essential things that you need to aid your crafting along.
Yep, absolutely. So there are already so many of you here. So we've got Lisa from Minnesota, we've got Jessica from Southern Illinois, we've got Lily Crafts from North Yorkshire. Oh, that's not far away. Christine Mahoney says hello again. Hello, Christine. And we've got Sam McDonald says hello again. Decided I would bore myself by wrapping Christmas presents. Oh, well done you. Wrapping Christmas presents still in November.
I haven't even thought about buying them, let alone bought them yet.
I bought some, but the wrapping, I've actually got to sort some out, because my daughter says, oh, my friend's staying in the spare bedroom in a few days. Oh. And I'm like, oh, no, she's not. I need to do some wrapping. Laurie Barnett says, hello, friends. Charlotte says, evening all, just watch back the cardstock show. It's those shows about the basics that are essential for beginners like me. Thank you, ladies. Well, that's what we're hoping. Hoping not just for the newbies, but for people that are sort of put things away and not using them. We've got Diet says, waving hi to everyone. Marion Johnson, hi, Corrine, lovely to see you. And wow, Jan, good to see you too. We've got, oh, they keep coming in. Barbara from Indiana. Zoe Carver says, evening, everyone from West Sussex. Oh, and our Lily is watching too. Hello, you two lovely ladies and all our CC family. I'm settled in my craft room, ready for tonight's show. As a tool addict, really looking forward to this one.
Oh, no pressure there, Lily.
Yeah, you've been watched. You've been watched. So should we crack straight on? Should we go straight to our first tool?
Yes.
I think we should. So
they're not in any particular order, so there's not like the top tool, the second tool. I just chose a selection of things that are useful in everyday crafting. The one thing that you'll notice is missing from the scenario tonight are the machines. I deliberately didn't include a machine of any sort, because we're going to be doing, or have done, separate shows on the Gemini range. So I haven't put the machine in there, which to a lot of crafters will be an essential piece of kit. So for this show, it's more the rest of the bits and pieces.
Yeah. Right. This is the A3 scoreboard, and our Jan's going to show you why this is an essential piece for your craft room.
So we've got the big score then, which is our A3 scoreboard. We also do an A4 version, but I chose the big one because this one allows you to do sort of A3 projects, 12 by 12 projects, and it sort of gives you that, whereas if you've got the smaller one, you can only go up to a certain size with it. So the scoreboard is actually made up of a series of grooves on here that are measured. So one side we've got centimetres for the metric, and on the other side we've got inches for the imperial. Now I do tend to still work in inches in here, so this one goes across from 1 to 12 inches. Yours will come nice and clean without the black line in the middle, but I will explain why that's there in a second. It also comes with your score tool, which has got the ball tool that just fits lovely in that groove there to create the scores. Now what I mean by scoring, if you are totally new to this, is it's just popping a crease in the paper to allow us to fold it. So I've taken a sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm working on the left hand side here, and I'm going to score it at 4 inches, and just gentle pressure, maybe a couple of times, rather than going really heavy and risking tearing your cardstock. And then I'm going to come across to the 8-inch marker, and I'm going to do the same again. And then I'm going to turn it and do exactly the same. So we're creating like a noughts and crosses or a tic-tac-toe grid. I'm going to end up with 9 equal squares on here. Just make sure I've got the right track there. So the ball tool's running down that groove in the board and creating my what we call a score line. Now they're not the easiest thing to see on there, but let me just see if we can pick them up. You see those on the camera? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So once we move that out of the way then, we can actually fold, and what it does, it makes it much easier to fold the cardstock. So where I've scored it now, I can be certain that I've got a nice, neat fold, and then I use my bone folder to just what we call burnish that fold. So secure it in place, and then I'm going to go the other side, and all along those lines that we've scored, we can literally pop those lines in and get them folded. And then I'm going to pop it back on my scoreboard and do 4 extra score lines. And I said that that black line was there to help. Now you don't have to put the black line on, but when I show you how it works, it does make life a little bit easier. I want to score now this diagonal edge. So I might pop it on here and then think, right, well, how is this bit in the right place? I don't know, I'm just guessing. Whereas when I've got the line here, at the top, I'm lining it up with the black line, and at the bottom, I'm lining it up with the black line. I now know that my vertical score line is going to be straight all the way down, but I'm only scoring in the corners of those squares. And then I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So we're going to go from the outside corner to where the score lines bisect there in the centre, and the same at this side. Now without that black line, I'd have no idea of knowing whether this one was in the right place or not. So it's just an optional. And all I did was pop it on with a black permanent marker. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these lines the other way. So we're going to fold these out this way and just give them a quick crease. And this is a really, really quick little gift box. It's one that I use quite frequently if I want to do something very quick. You just need 1 sheet of paper. You can decorate. I'm going to show you one finish that's decorated. But even, you know, if you want to be really quick, I suppose you don't even need to add any decorations to it. So all I've done is I've folded those extra diagonal lines inside to make a valley fold, which will allow the corners to meet. So you can see here when we bring it up, you've got that lovely little shape there. And then if I bring the one in I did at home, I've just used some papers and mats and layers to just add the detail, punch some holes in the top and added a little bit of twine. And you can see just by decorating it how it actually creates that little gift box. You could fill that with anything in there, pop a bit of tissue in and your job's done. So that's our A3 scoreboard, which is the big score.
That is a fantastic way to use your scoreboard. Isn't that super cute? I love that. There you go. So that is Jan's take on why you need the large scoreboard. Now, there are so many other things that you can be doing with your scoreboard, and Jan's already explained in our 11 o'clock show about using this to be creating your boxes. So you've got your box bases and your box lids, and the difference between it matting at this side being a true measurement, I've got it the right way around, yeah, true measurement on that side and then a little bit out on that side. There are lots of different ways that you can be using this, but I do agree with Jan, it is an absolute essential for your craft, for your craft stash, to make sure that you're getting the bits out of it. And like Jan said, if you put the line down the middle, it really does help. The number of times I've tried to do a straight line, tried to line up point, and you can't, once you line up the top, you can't actually, your eye just goes, doesn't it?
Which one it is at the bottom,
It really does. It's amazing how it, how it sort of skews out a little bit. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, I've only just done a little sneaky peek into one thing that you can do with that board, But I mean, obviously, I pick it up every time. I make my own card blanks. I don't know about you, Corrine. So going back to that card stock this morning, the multi-purpose card is brilliant for card blanks. Cut it to size, score it down the centre, either on the Scoreboard, or if you've got the Ultimate, you can use that's got the markings on. It might be something like making the rosettes, scoring every half an inch across your piece of paper, ready to do that concertina fold and make the rosettes. Making boxes and 3D items, it is absolutely stunning for. And like I said, if your budget can run to that larger board, you've got the scope to do any size work then. Whereas if you go with the A4 one, you're restricted to using the A4 cardstock. You're 12 by 12. You have to start wriggling it around, and it just doesn't work very well.
No, absolutely perfect. So thank you. Yeah, and if you search on the internet and you just search for A3 Scoreboard, or the Big Score, you will find lots and more tutorials on how to use it. So it's a super useful tool. So we've had so many more messages. So Anne Fleming Myers says, "Hello, ladies. So glad to spend a second time with you both today. Rain has stopped here in Texas for now, anyway." Oh, I'm really glad. Thank you for coming back, Anne. So there you go, Corrine. It's Jill. Lily or Lil is Jill backwards. I didn't know.
Yes. So, yeah.
Now you say it. Obvious, obvious. There we go. Oh, Marion, who came in earlier and said, good to see her. She says she's in Stockton-on-Tees, not far from the warehouse. Well, if you're not far from the warehouse, if that's our new warehouse, then you're nearly here at the studio anyway. Diet's, we've already had some people turn up this morning, so I tried to come in when I was on the first show. We've had Diet said, "Beautiful sweater, Jan," and then Marion says, "That colour really suits you, Jan." Lots of love for your jumper today, Jan. It really is.
It's a case of buying things when you see them, isn't it? Because when you go and look for something at this time of year, you can't find what you're looking for.
No,
but yeah, it just caught my eye, and I thought I like a little bit of sparkle.
Yeah, we all like a little bit of
Yeah,
bling.
Life's not complete without a bit of sparkle,
It's not at all. We've got June saying, "Hi, watching and reading subtitles." Well, I hope they're accurate, because they're those auto-generation subtitles. So goodness only knows what it thinks you're saying to you.
It's best when Craig's on.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched it with subtitles when our Craig's on? Bless him.
Oh, that could come out.
It's a good laugh, yeah.
Watch tomorrow when Craig's on, June. And then
our little hottie Scotty with his accent, with his swirls and his curls and...
What was it? Oh, it was there was one he said
Love
the
you,
other day.
Craig, if you're watching.
Oh, yeah. Born sounded like Burn the other day. Oh,
yeah, bless him. Yeah, as I said, the subtitles on there are hilarious.
But then again, he's probably laughing at things that we say. There we go. So she says that the family are watching TV. I'm secretly watching this. Oh, we're a secret TV addiction. Yeah. I like that one. Stephanie says, "Hello again. Watching while hubby drives through traffic on the GSP." That must be a road. "To our second Thanksgiving celebration with more family." Oh, how lovely! I'm glad to be going along with you, Stephanie. I'll have something nice to eat when we get there, then, please. Diet, ask the question, what causes the cracking of the cardstock? Is it because the cardstock is old or improper scoring?
When you're using the Scoreboard?
Yeah, if it cracks.
Couple of things. Depends on the cardstock, so you need a good quality cardstock to start with. The second thing is possibly too much pressure. If you remember, I said it's better to do gentle strokes more than once, rather than going in hard and actually pressing on, because it can crack the surface of the cardstock. So without seeing the cardstock that you're using, it's not an easy one to answer, but those are usually the two main reasons. Once you've scored a piece of card, it should fold and burnish beautifully. Now, if that is an expensive cardstock, it's not always the case, and sometimes with a coated card it could affect it, but something like our Centura Pearl that we've already established is coated cardstock, scores and folds beautifully.
Okay, right, we've got some more questions and some more comments, and we'll come to those in a minute. But we will have a look at our next tool. So our next essential tool, these are our 4-pack of tweezers. So Jan's going to show you why you need 4 different types of tweezers.
Right, so we've got our pack of tweezers coming up next. That was the next thing on my list, and this is a pack of 4 precision tweezers. Now, you might think, well, why do I need 4 different sets of tweezers? But they all have a slightly different purpose. Now, a lot of people have commented on my regular use of tweezers. They're like an extension of my fingers, particularly if you've got something very fiddly or small to pick up. I'm not good with ends of fingertips and things like that. So my pointed tweezers, my straight point ones, tend to become like an extension, but I'm going to go through them as they come to you in the packet. So you get 1 pair that have got like a little flat end on, and I'm just going to pop them over my fingers there so that you can just see the idea. They've almost got like a little paddle on the end of them. So again, you know, picking up something that's flat, or it may be that you're wanting, I sometimes use these for scooping little bits of glitter out of the pot. If I just want a little tiny bit of glitter on something, I use them to scoop the glitter out and then just dot it on what I'm working on. But you can just see that they've got that flat end there, so it allows you to pick up things nice and simple. So, you know, if you've got a piece of card that you're working with, you can literally just grab it, and as I say, they become an extension of your fingers. So that's your flat end ones. The ones that I tend to use most are probably the straight end ones, and these are probably the more traditional type of tweezers that people are used to, that you use in cosmetics and things like that, as well as crafting. So those are your straight edge ones. Again, picking things up, I often use these if I'm placing delicate die cuts and things like that. It allows you that precision to actually put something in place, and you can pop it down before you get to the glue sticking to it. The next set are angled, so these are great for picking up things like gems, because you can get that flat edge. If I just turn them that way, you can see there, they've got a nice flat edge and an angled design on them. So things like small gems, nice to pick them up together, squeeze them, pick it up, squeeze and pick it up, and then you can position them. So a tweezer performs the same purpose, it's just the different ends. These ones are really clever. These are what we call the reverse tweezers. So normally when you look at these, the tweezers are open and you squeeze them together to hold something. If I was picking this up, I would actually have to keep my tweezers held together. This one is the opposite way. So when you get them, they're actually closed, and you squeeze them to open them, as in the reverse sort of procedure. I find these are great if you're something like heat embossing. Even though they are metal, you're far enough away from your heat tool that it's not going to get hot, so you can hold something at the end and then you can do your heat embossing. Because these close by themselves, they literally just hold something in place. I'm not having to squeeze them. It's one job less to do, so really useful. They're made from stainless steel, so they're not going to rust. You know, they're going to last you a lifetime if they're looked after. And they're sort of, the bit that I liked about them as well is that they've got an anti-magnetic property to them, so they're not going to stick to other things that may have magnetic properties. So yeah, set of 4. Pack of precision tweezers. You don't have to choose which one you want. They literally all come in that pack, and you're going to get those as one item, and that's those precision tweezers for you.
Thank you, Jan. That was a really thorough explanation of what each of the tweezers do for you. So yes, that's our 4-pack of precision tweezers. Now, you said, didn't you, Jan, that the straight point tip is the ones that you probably use the most?
Yes.
I use what is officially called on here the needle point tip, or I call them my squeezy tweezers.
The reverse ones.
The reverse tweezers. I go to those all the time, and like you say, I think I actually do it now that I struggle for crafting to use the regular ones because I'm going the wrong way round, if that makes sense. I'm trying to squeeze them and I let go of what I want.
I think you get favourites. As I say, a tweezer's there to help pick something up in general.
Yeah.
That's its purpose. Yeah. So it's about finding the ones that work for you. But I love the fact that we sell them as a 4-pack because then you can choose and you'll probably find there's a favourite set and the others don't get used as much. I probably use 2 of those much more than the other 2. So I use the fine point ones and then the sort of the inverted ones, the squeezy ones, probably more than the other 2 sets. But it's handy to have those if you need them. You've not got to go out and buy another set of tweezers. Yeah,
exactly. And like you say, for things like when you're heat embossing, or sometimes it's just to hold with the squeezy ones that you can put 2 things together and know that the tweezers will hold them in place just for that second for you and everything like that. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Right, let's have a look. So we have some more questions. Oh, Marion was saying back to the boxes. I've always wanted to make one of those boxes. Jan, thanks Jan, you're a star. Kay says, I love that box for so many little Christmas gifts or birthday. Thanks Jan for the demo. Angela says, going back to the scoreboard, do you use a Sharpie marker or a Spectrum Noir pen on it?
Either. They're both permanent marker pens.
Yeah, as long as it's permanent.
Will work.
As long as it's permanent, then it won't come off on your cardstock because you want something that you don't want to put your cardstock on, score
and end
down,
up with the black
and transfer
line.
it.
So wait while it's dry. Yeah, but either of them, they're both permanent markers. An alcohol pen is a permanent marker on something like plastic. So either would work.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got Margaret Matheson says, evening all. I seem to just miss the beginning of the show all day. It's good going back to basics, refreshing memories. Well, Margaret, we'll send you a text next time, just an alert, just to remind you. Wouldn't that be lovely? If everybody got a little alert just before. There we go. No, but I'm glad you can join us. It doesn't matter that you're a bit late, but you can always watch back the bit that you missed later. Susanna Stevens said, just finished watching my first Christmas movie of the year. What was it? People keep giving us messages and they're not putting the whole thing in there. So what was it? Was it good? Is it one that we need to watch? Please, I need to know more. Please, I'm nosy. Sandy Kessler said, the scoreboard is a must, especially when using the template library. It is a must. We've not got the template library, have we?
No.
Because it's only in the US.
It's on the HSN, isn't it? Yeah.
I know. I'm very jealous. So it says, I'm sitting under the oaks with Minnie on the table, working on Christmas cards, enjoying Jan and Corrine. That sounds perfect.
That sounds like heaven, doesn't it?
So she's sitting outside, underneath the trees, with her Gemini Mini, making Christmas cards and watching this.
That sounds much more exciting than being north of the wall, yes.
It certainly does. Diet says, I always use my tweezers and must-haves. Charlotte says, oh, my tweezers arrived in one of my deliveries yesterday. I've had 10 within the past 2 days. I wonder what our delivery man thinks. I think that's deliveries, not tweezers. Wow, that's pretty good. Heidi Hess says the reason you need 4 tweezers is because once you put it on your work table, it's lost. Pick up another. Well, life is like that for me. Yeah, I always have 3 pokey tools on my table at any one time. There we go. Crafty Cat's Creation says, I'm disabled, especially in my hands, and reverse tweezers are my best friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't agree.
Yeah.
Rosemary says, similar, reverse tweezers are best for those who have weak hands. Oh, For Holidays Design said, good afternoon from a sunny Florida. Cheryl says, good morning, my crafty friends, watching from work here in Alaska. We're going through the complete...
Worldwide.
We are worldwide.
Yep.
Oh, Mindy Craft says, can Jan show how to do angled mats and layers, please? Example with the connected sentiment dies. We will have to do that. We're not going to be able to do that today, but we will show you. Actually, I have just done an angled mat and layer for something, and I'm trying to think where it is, and then you could watch that. Trying to think, I'll have a look and then I'll get back to see if I can get back to you, Mindy, to show you how to do your angled mats and layers, where we'll go for that. So that is, we'll let you know on that one. Right, now, let me reach over here, what we're doing next. Right, now I need to pick up all of these. Crafter's Companion Scissors. There we go. Now, Jan is going to show you why you need your Crafter's Companion scissors.
Oh, Crafters Companion Scissors in purple. I was so excited when these were released. It's like we all like good scissors, and you know from past experience, if you are a customer of ours, you know that Leanne doesn't bring anything to the table unless she's absolutely 110% sure it's going to do the job. So when these came out, they were long awaited. We all knew how much work had gone into them, and boy have they lived up to that name. So we have 3 different sizes, and I'm going to go through each size. I'm going to explain what I use them for, how I incorporate them in my craft, and just show you a little bit about them, because you might think, well, why do I need 3 different lots of scissors? So I'm going to start with the largest set, and these have got these are 9 inches in total. So they're actually really sort of well designed with regards to the handle. They've got that soft grip on them as well, so it's not really solid on there. And then you've got really good steel blades that are Teflon coated, which means that that reduces the amount of sticky buildup if you're cutting anything that has adhesive on it. So if you're cutting tape or cutting through a double-sided adhesive sheet, anything like that, it reduces it greatly as to how that sticky builds up. If you do get any sticky on there that's a bit stubborn, I tend to use my stick away in the aerosol on a little bit of cloth, and just every so often, a bit of housekeeping, give them a rub over to get rid of any of that residue. Now if I hold these up so you can see a little bit more detail there, this larger pair, and this was a sort of a mind blower when we first saw this. I'd never ever seen a set of scissors that had measurements on them before, and this has got markings in imperial measurements up to 3 inches. You might think, well, what's all that about, Jan? But honestly, when I show you how these work, again, it's a bit of a game changer. And the other thing that I wanted to show you, before I show you the actual measurements, is even the large scissors, if we put these in and cut the cardstock, they cut right to that very end of the scissors. Now again, I've had scissors in the past where right that very tip, it doesn't, and sometimes it ends up making a little bit of a mess of the end of your cut. You can cut the slightest little sliver off here with these and be convinced that it's going to go right to the edge of that blade. And then the other thing is not just for paper crafting. If you are a soft crafter, and I'm going to commit the cardinal sin now, Corrine, because paper crafters and people that are soft crafters are very particular about the scissors, and I know that somebody that uses fabrics for soft crafting would not want a paper crafter to get hold of their scissors because they think that it blunts them. Ours have been designed to cut through this is just a piece of scrap cotton out of some of my mixed media stash. Just look at how neat that's cut through there, and I can cut that again and again and again, and it doesn't blunten them. The technology in these has made it so that, you know, they're literally doing the job. Just look how nice and straight the edges. And when I go back to the cardstock, it's going to cut equally cleanly without any snagging. And that for me was a bit of a game changer. Even though I don't use a lot of fabric, it means that I don't have to have 2 separate pairs. I can go backwards and forwards from one to the other. I do tend to use a bit of fabric when I'm doing mixed media, and it means that I don't have to have a separate pair of scissors. Now the actual measurements on them, when I was doing the box work earlier, let me just grab my scoreboard again and just pop a score line in here. When we did the boxes earlier, for example, I popped maybe a 2-inch score line in, and then we went round the edge of the box. So just using the piece of scrap card there. And you'll know if you've made boxes before that you come to this point and you want to cut to make the tab. Now I've just scored at 2 inches to make this piece here. So the side of my box would be 2 inches in depth. So let's just move those to one side. If I grab my scissors now and find the 2-inch mark, if we can just see them there, yeah? And I'm going to line up that 2-inch mark with the edge of my card here, and I can then cut right up to my score line, and it's going to stop in exactly the right place because the measurement matches this. All right, so for example, if you just wanted to cut up 1 inch, you would line that 1-inch mark up. If I can get that in place and then tilt it so you guys can see, let me just see, can you see the measure? There we go.
We can.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know then that when that's lined up with the 1 inch, it's going to cut exactly 1 inch up the card. So they do have their uses. So that's the large pair. You then get a 6-inch pair. Okay, exactly the same format. They've got the same kind of grip. They've got that lovely Teflon coating again. This is sort of everyday. Again, this will do exactly the same job. They all cut right to the very end of that scissor. Look, right to the point. It's cut all the way through. So they're all designed to do the same job. Little bit of preference as to whether you prefer the larger pair or the smaller pair. They all do that same job. And then the final pair are what we call the little precision snips. And again, these are great for doing sort of smaller things. So again, they will do exactly the same as what we've just done. They will cut right to the edge of the tips there. Okay. They will cut your fabric just the same if I wanted to go through here. Having said that, mine are a little bit, they're a bit overused, these ones. But again, you can see here how we can cut straight through the fabric there, nice and clean. And then the things that I use these most for, this was actually a little bit of work that we started earlier, but you'll hear us talk about fussy cutting. I prefer to do that with my snips. So I normally, with my bigger scissors, just cut away any excess card so that I'm close to the design there. And then take the little snips, and you can either cut against the black line, or more often than not, you'll see us leave a tiny little white border there. And again, the trick is to hold your scissors steady and turn your card. So my scissors are only sort of doing that scissor action like so, and then I'm moving my cardstock to get around the edge of it. But these are absolutely great for doing, and that's probably what I use the little ones most for. I love actually, and you know that one of my favourite things is stamping and colouring. So if I'm going to pop these onto a card as a display, a focal point, then I often cut out those stamped images. I like to do the decoupage where you stamp more than once and layer them up. But you can see, just holding them at a slight angle, how it's cutting that lovely little line away from the, I'm not going to go around the whole thing, but if I pop it here now, you can just see how you've got that lovely neat edge. So those are our scissors. We've got that large 9-inch pair, we've got the 6-inch pair, and then you've got these are 4.5 inches, which are the little precision snips there. So again, essential piece of equipment in my book.
Thank you, Jan. That was a perfect explanation of all 3 of our scissors. I tell you what, Jan, stood over here. I love that sound.
Oh,
that clip.
That little snip.
That snip.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Satisfying, isn't it?
It is. And like you said, the fact that knowing that they're not going to get gunked up with all your you know, when you're cutting through foamy tapes, absolutely perfect. And, you know, and I think you're right, it is the right pair for the right job. Now, I do my fussy cutting with my 9-inch scissors.
And absolutely. And I know a lot of people do.
Everybody finds one to sit in their hand.
A little bit like the tweezers, isn't it? You sort of work with them and one of them becomes a favourite set.
I don't know whether it's the weight. Possibly. I just love my 9-inch. I do use my small ones sometimes when I go into small detail, but yeah, I do a lot with my large ones. Absolutely perfect. Right, lots more comments. So Anne from the Twin Cities says, hello, got my 3rd birthday package today. Wow. Eleanor says it's a beautiful day in Shrub Oak, New York, and you probably could craft outside today. Very jealous. Kay says, I love my Crafter's Companion shears. I have several of each size. They're good for sewing, kitchen shears, and of course, crafting. Is it our Sarah that has a pair in the kitchen for her bacon? I believe it is. I believe it is.
Yeah, they don't have to just be for crafting.
Even Sarah takes them into the kitchen, into the sewing room, you know, wherever you want them. Yeah, just don't let somebody else know, otherwise they'll be gone into the office and into the kids' craft or everything. Dana says, good morning, Corrine Jan, CC team and Crafty Peeps from a cold but sunny Oregon. Well, it's lovely to have you with us. June says, oh dear, those are really sharp. I've cut myself many a time. Oopsie, yes, please be careful with them. They are sharp. Kendall says, can Jan explain how she uses vellum that has a very nice picture on it? I don't know what that was in specifically, but we'll have a look at that. But again, we're going to be doing a vellum masterclass, unless you mean fussy cutting round it. But if you have vellum, just use it as you would any
just like
cardstock.
paper, yeah, it's just like design paper. But I know you've got some, you've got a show coming up with the vellum, haven't you?
Masterclass.
What we've done with these is try and cover lots and lots of different areas. So mine today was the cardstock and the tools, but the rest of the team over the weekends, we've been trying to incorporate as many of the products as we can, because we're very well aware, you know, there are a lot of new crafters out there that are joining us every day. Plus, you know, you might have had a piece, you might be a more seasoned crafter and had a piece of equipment in your cupboard that you've never used because you didn't know what to do with it. So these are something, you know, that can just, and don't forget, you know, you can play them back, or just like you do normal with the rest of our shows during the week, you can look at these on YouTube, you can bookmark them, you can play them back. So if there's something you thought, oh, Jan said something about this and I can't quite remember, have a look back at the show and see, you know, you can sort of replay it, you can pause me, you can mute me if you want and just watch what I'm doing. I won't be offended at all.
Couple of quick comments, so just so we can get on to the next one. Sam says she loves her CC scissors. Diana says feel the same about same as others about what the delivery man must think. I think I just received my last birthday week order, yippee. Mimi says, can't praise those scissors enough. I have 4 sets and would love more. As stated earlier, they get lost on the table. They are solid, cut beautifully. The little snips help. Help out if something didn't cut all the way through. Must have. Hannah Law says, scissors are the best ever. I buy every time they're on sale for my stash, because every time my adult sons come to visit, they need a new one for some reason or other. Got to love them. Yeah, but that's because they know you've got them, so they wait, don't they? Michelle has 4 large pairs, 3 medium and 2 small. Needless to say, she loves them. Peggy Sue says, I laugh so hard about the scissors and been concerned about it being used for the wrong materials. My dear mother used to tie her scissors to her sewing machine. I can just envisage it. Yes, oh dear. The tiny snips are always in my purse, says Kay. Sam McDonald says, couldn't craft outside in the northeast. No, it's
definitely
freezing.
not.
Oh, and Carletta says, it's supposed to start raining here soon in Arkansas. Perfect day to stay in and craft. The same here, Carletta, because it's very cold.
We don't need much of a reason, though, do we,
I'm
to
going
stay
to a
in
Christmas market tomorrow, and it feels like the right weather to be doing it. So, yeah, I'm off to Birmingham tomorrow.
Yeah, nice little hot toddy and all wrapped up with your scarf and your woolly hat and everything.
A mulled wine. Oh. Are you a mulled cider?
I'm not particularly either, to be honest. I'd be more the hot chocolate with the Baileys in it, in the corner.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Mulled wine, be lovely. Right. You probably see us use these day in, day out. So our Jan is going to show you everything you need to know about the Crafter's Companion guillotine.
Right, so I'm going to grab my large guillotine first. So our Crafter's Companion guillotines. These are, again, a little bit like the scoreboards. We do a large one and we do a small one. So I'll bring them both into shot there so you can see them almost. We perhaps need, Charlotte's going to zoom out a little bit, look, so that you can see them. So if I bring them down, the tops are the same, but you can just see that obviously there's a difference there in the length of them considerably. All right, now a little bit like the scoreboards in that if you buy the small one, you're restricted to the size of the card that you can fit through it. So a piece of A4 card is too long to fit through the small one. It would go this way, on that short side, but it's too long to go this way. If you've got the larger one, not only can you do the A4, you can get your 12 by 12 in there, you could get that A3 cardstock in there. Obviously not the length of the A3, but it will go through this way. So again, it's one of those things that, you know, buy to your budget, but if you've got the larger one, you can do so much more with it than if you've just got the small one. Now, one of the things about these, again, you know, revolutionary. I haven't seen another guillotine like this in the sense that it's 2 important tools rolled into one. We looked at the separate scoreboards earlier, but when Leanne designed this, she actually designed it with a scoring grid on the surface of the guillotine, and it comes complete with a scoring tool, which I can never get out of here. Mine at home always gets stuck in there, but you can see those grooves that behave just like a scoreboard. It's got the measurements on the top in metric and imperial again. It's also got them across the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the big one, which is exactly the same, just larger. Okay. and just pop that one so that you can see the top of it there. So it's, again, you've got that beautiful sort of large cutting blade there, absolutely second to none. They are kitchen quality, the blades in here. And then you've got the finger guard at the bottom just to protect when you're holding your card in place. Now I've picked up a piece of our non-shed glitter card here because, again, you know, sometimes it's not that easy to cut, but I just want you to see how easy with the scoreboard. So I've popped it in. I'm going to open that arm up and then just line it up. I often get asked about how do you get things straight. So again, because we've got that grid on here, you can either measure from the top, so keep it level with the top and then keep this line straight here. Or if I move it forward, some people prefer to line their card up at the bottom, okay, and then use this vertical line to make sure it's straight. So either way will work. And then all I would recommend then is that you pop your fingers firmly on that finger guard. And I love this noise, Corrine, I don't know about you. That one.
Do you know why?
Beautiful.
Because our Leanne went to a sword manufacturer to get the blade.
She did. She wasn't happy with the things that had come before it, but that lovely, and it's self-sharpening. Anytime you've got the metal against metal,
it's sharpening.
So every time it does that, it's self-sharpening. It should never blunt. It should never need a new blade if you look after it. You can see how cleanly that's cut. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you, again, is we pop this up. I'm just going to pop it up at the top this time because I normally work at the top. And I'm literally just going to come in a 1/16 of an inch, which is like we're back to that fly's eyelash again. And I'm going to hold it in place. A nice long cut. And just look at that sliver. Look at that.
That's encapsulated glitter card.
Yep, encapsulated glitter card, but that is literally a 1/16 of an inch. And if I bring this from one end to the other and put these together, you can see that they are perfectly. If I just put that here and pop it over the black card,
that's testament to your cutting skills as well.
You can see that they match perfectly. Wow, so it's that same width all the way down. It's not my cutting skills. It's the quality of the machine and the fact that you've got that border at the top and you've got that vertical line. And that's the best tip I can give you for keeping things straight, is make sure it's up straight against either top or the bottom, whichever you prefer to do. And then make sure that this left-hand edge is against one of those vertical lines and that it's nice and straight. That way, you should get a really nice straight cut. And again, you know, when that comes off, look, perfect match from one side to the other.
That really is, isn't it?
The thickness of it. So they both work exactly the same. So as I say, again, sometimes it's budget related as to which one, you know, your budget will afford. But wherever you can manage it, I would always go for that slightly bigger one so that you've got the facility to use that larger 12 by 12 paper, A3 cardstock and things like that. And then you've got that perfect sort of extra piece of equipment that you can work with, and you can use it. I didn't actually show you I've just popped that back in, but again, just to line this up with the edge here, and again, you can actually just score straight down the middle here, even on the glitter card. And again, you've got look at that, perfect crease, no cracking, nothing in that glitter card whatsoever.
Brilliant.
So you've got the facility to do that. So if you can't run to a guillotine and a scoreboard, you know, our guillotine at Crafters Companion has got them both in, which allows you that 2 tools in one. So that's the Crafters Companion guillotines there.
Absolutely brilliant. And I think it just really shows you why our Crafters Companion guillotine is just the best, and that's why you need that one. So let's have a quick look who else has been talking to us. Oh, Kay agrees with you. Hot cocoa for me too, Jan. And Michelle says, please send out prayers for Joy Sampson. Her first public craft presentation is tomorrow. Send your love. Well, good luck, good luck, Joy. Hope it goes really well. We'd love to know what you're going to be doing. Public craft presentation. Is she demoing somewhere? I hope so.
Interesting, doesn't it?
Yes. You see, It's just another half a tail. People keep coming with half the tails. We need all of the information, please, Michelle. Joanne says, I have the large guillotine and love it. Zoe says, I've ordered the large guillotine. It's on a great deal at the moment. Well, there you go. Kay says, when visiting my son's family a couple of weeks ago, I brought along my large guillotine with a trunk load of Crafter's Companion items. I forgot it there, so ordered a new one and just received it. My granddaughters can use it. Wow, they are sharing the love. Terry Anderson says, my two favourite sounds are the guillotine and the scissors. So satisfying. Now, the next one I'm really quite excited about because this is something that you just see. It's just part of the furniture. But our Jan is going to show you why you need a glass mat. So this is a Crafter's Companion glass mat. Start that again. This is a Crafter's Companion glass mat and why you're going to need it.
Right, so Crafter's Companion, then glass cutting mat, okay? Now, I used to have this as the #1 item on my list of equipment for a very, very long time. I wouldn't be without it. It sadly moved to #2 when the magnetic stamping platform came out, because that now has become the first piece of equipment that I go to on a regular basis. As a stamper, that sort of made my life easier. Now, again, I didn't include that in the show because we will be doing shows specifically focused on stamping. So I just wanted to bring it back to the actual mat. You'll see that we've always got them out when we're working here in the studio. Massive, massive size. You're looking at the measurements on here, measure to 18 inches, but it's actually 19 inches wide. And then we've got 12 inches on the measurements, but it's 13. So 19 by 13 inches around that external measure. It's toughened tempered glass, which means that it shouldn't sort of break unless you did some real damage to it, you know, unless you were sort of slinging it out the window or dropping it on the floor and jumping on it. It should stay intact, okay? You've got the grid markings on it, again, which is great for lining things up. So going back to what we were just doing, you know, if you like to cut with a knife, you can actually cut straight onto your glass mats. I'm going to do that in a second. But by lining everything up, making sure that corners are lined up, you know that you're going to get a nice angle on something. It's also got lots and lots of measurements for the regular size cards and things like that. So for example, we've got an A6 size, we've got the 5x7, the 6x6, and so on. So, you know, if you're not quite sure about which one was which, you've got that there as a top up. The lady that was asking about cutting mats and layers with the angles, you've actually got part of the protractor right in the bottom corner here. So again, it may be that you're wanting to cut a piece of card at a certain angle, and you can actually pop it in and line up your ruler with your cutting knife against, for example, the 45-degree angle here, and you can get that way. But I know you were going to go into more detail about that, so I'm not going to work on that tonight. But that is a feature of the board. It's got little feet underneath it, which allow it to stay stable. You've got a nice stable, it's not wobbly. Unless you lose a foot off it, it's not going to wobble about all over the place. And then I'm just going to show you a couple of the techniques that I use mine for quite a lot. So I've got a little bit of the stamping card there, back to my stamping card. Do you know, this is ingrained in my brain because it's been that for so long. It's multi-purpose card now. Take one of my ink pads. You've heard me talk about the smooshy backgrounds a lot. So I'm just going to put that direct from the ink pad. Because it's water reactive, I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. And then you literally, and this is the multi-purpose, you can do this with the watercolour card as well, but literally just mop up areas of that ink. And you get the most crazy technique. I'm going to see if we can do it here. You can just see a little bit of it here where the veinings come in it. You get like a, when it comes off the mat. So you literally get that sort of, here we go, look, the veining in it, which you don't get if you're using it. You can do this technique with a craft mat as well, but it's amazing how you get different kind of looks for it. So it could be that you're wanting to create a background, add in a second colour, you might want to emboss this then, all sorts of different things. So that's one way to do it. I'm trying not to get the ink everywhere because I'm such a mucky pup, honestly. And I'm literally, at home I would be mopping this all up with another piece of cardstock, but I just want to move on to another one. So again, you saw me using our aqua pens earlier. So these are a water-based medium again. It may be that you want to do that same technique, but you literally pop your colour from the pen down onto your mat. So again, you can actually use a paintbrush to pick this up and paint. You could use your sparkle brush pen to pick it up. So this is acting as the sort of the palette, for want of a better word, and it's so easy to clean up. But again, to just spritz it, you can then again pick it up just like you do the ink and start making your backgrounds with it. So again, when I'm talking about making backgrounds, I'll sometimes have a session during the afternoon. You can see that veining in it there, where you're just literally taking the colour and making backgrounds. And then the last thing, I just want to make sure that's totally dry now. And I've just popped out, I didn't put this on the list, but you can get the ruler on the website. And this has got a metal edge against it, along with our cutting knife. So these are all extra tools on top of the list. I could obviously only fit so many into the show, but just be very careful. These are very sharp. And again, you often think, oh, you need a self-healing cutting mat underneath, but not necessarily. As long as you're working against that side with the metal edge on, you can cut directly onto your glass mat and it won't damage the surface of the mat. There's no scratching. I don't know how. Magic is involved at this point, but it doesn't scratch the surface of the mat. And again, you know, if you prefer, I know some people are happier cutting with a knife. I personally prefer my scissors, but it's there as an option, and it means that you've not got to get another mat out and put it out on top. You can literally use those pieces of equipment and make them work for you. So it's an excellent surface to work on. As I say again, I've just touched the surface of things that you can do with it, but these are the things that I tend to use mine for most when I'm crafting. So that's that A3 glass mat.
I think we all need an A3 craft mat. It's just the perfect surface to be crafting onto. Right, we have one more essential product to show you from Jan's list. And that is, and I've got them just here. This is, or these are rather, should I say, the Crafter's Companion tape pens. So Jan is going to show you why you need the dotty and the regular tape pen.
Right, so I've got all sorts of notes stuck here from when I actually prepped these. I prepped them earlier on in the week. So tape pens then, we've become sort of notorious for these. Crafter's Companion tape pens. We sell the double-sided tape pen, which a lot of you will be familiar with. This was the first one that we launched. And then later we introduced its playmate, which is the dotty tape pen. Now they are, if I put these on my mat as opposed to the black, the dotty one's slightly darker in colour. It's also got the symbol on the front, so they're nice and easy to tell apart. Now what's the difference? Inside here you have got double-sided adhesive on a roller that rolls from one side to the other. 22 metres of double-sided adhesive. Now that is a lot of tape in one pen. They aren't refillable. Leanne made the decision to sell these as one-off items because again that affects the price that we can offer them to you at. So again it's a case of it's a use and a throw away. Now what I'm going to do is just show you the two different types. So the straight one is just literally a line of double-sided tape. When we get to the dotty one, it's exactly the same adhesive, the same strength and everything like that, but it's dispensed in a row of dots. So I'm going to lift this up and see if we can get this on the camera for you, just to show you, you can see the difference there with them, yeah? So two very, very different uses. The first one, I've just brought in a piece of paper and I'm going to use my double-sided tape pen and I'm going to take it, and it's got little ridges on the top, so hold it like this just at a slight angle, and I'm going to take it around the edge and then flick it to break that adhesive all the way around this edge and flick all the way around this edge and just flick. If you don't flick, you'll tend to get a layer of adhesive like in a string here. And then it's sort of like, well, what do you do with that? You've got to get rid of it. And then sometimes the pen doesn't work properly afterwards. You have to roll the tape along again. So just that little flick. So again, I'm going to go all the way around. I'm going to put a fair bit on inside here because it's a good sized piece of paper. I don't necessarily need to cover it all. Okay, and then I'm going to stick this together. Okay, now the tape is reactive to heat. So once you've actually got it together, give it a good sort of burnish with your fingers, and the friction creates that little bit of heat in your fingers, and it will activate that tape in there. And then I'm just going to leave that for a second and come back to it in a second. So the dotty tape pen, all right, the difference with this one is that I would be using this one if I'd got open areas. And what I mean by that is actually something like a die cut. So I've just pulled one of the nesting dies out of my stash and die cut these out for you already out of some Centura pearl. Now I've got two identical, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the normal tape pen on the back of one of them. And I want to stick this down onto my card. So I'm going to start and try and put the glue behind here because I want to stick it down onto my card. Now you've heard me mention this earlier, and I will say it again about products being fit for purpose. And this is a perfect example. All right, so we'll do that one. And then I'm also going to do the other one with the dots. So again, exactly the same technique over the back of it. Okay, and the dots pop onto the back of that die cut.
It's the lightest of touch, though, isn't it?
It is very light. If you press on it, yes, it's going to push the dots through the gaps. You only want them to hit where that cardstock is. All right. Now, I'm going to challenge our Charlotte to come in nice and close. All right. And the one that we've got the double-sided tape, I can see it here with my eye. Can you see in the back of the die cut? Can you see the adhesive?
Yes, it's
You don't
shining.
want to see. So if I was to stick this down onto my card, I can see all that spike.
Oh, yeah, you can see it
nasty.
now, look.
Yeah? Nasty, nasty. All right? If we do
the dust is going to stick to that, glitter's going to stick to that, everything's
absolutely
going to
everything, yeah. If we change it for the one with the dots on, and I pop this one down, you can see that the dots have just stuck to the
There's
back.
none of that
nothing in the middle.
shimmer, is there?
The dots have just stuck to the back of the card and there's nothing in the middle. So again, it's fit for purpose. If you're just wanting it round some delicate die cut, you want that dotty tape pen. And if you're going to go with that double-sided one, it's for adhering mats and layers and things like that. Now, the reason I left this was to see, and I can't even get the corner undone, let alone anything else, was to see whether I could actually pull it apart. And again,
you needed
if we get it here, it's proper like stuck. I've put some force in there and it is just slowly, but there's going to be some damage go on. So, you know, it's about using the right product for the right purpose. So matting and layering, sticking things together, 3D projects like your box making and things like that, double-sided, delicate die cuts, the dotty tape pen. So that's our Crafter's Companion tape pens.
That was really, really useful. And I'm sure you can think of lots and lots of other uses for your tape pens, because we were doing that earlier, for your gilding plates, for your glitters, everything like that. Absolutely perfect. But I think Jan's just shown you why you need both of your two different tape pens. Now, I've got a few more comments before we go for the end.
I can't believe an hour's just passed by like that. Where did that go?
I know. Dana was asking about the extension bar on the guillotine.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't do that bit, did I?
We'll see if we can do that in just 1 minute.
What?
Diet says, when I cut several sheets of cardstock with my small guillotine, my cuts are not straight. What causes this? I think it's because you're cutting multiples at once.
Yes.
And the card is just moving. If you cut one at a time, I think you'll get it much straighter.
You'll find that even if you do that with scissors, if you try and cut multiple layers with scissors, they move slightly and you'll get some that aren't aligned. Exactly the same with the guillotine.
One layer at a time. I know it takes a bit longer, but the result will be worth that extra time. And as our Jamie just said, you can't rush art. He should know. He paints lovely pictures. I've been looking at them. Betty says, I love my glass mat. Just ordered a second one so my sister-in-law can use when she comes over to craft. Don't craft without it. Loving the stamping platform. Love the glass mat, guillotines and scissors. They're all coming through. Deborah says, tape pens. Michelle Parton says, not notorious, Jan. Crafter's Companion is infamous for their tape pens. Jessica says, can the tape pens be recycled? I'm in the US and my daughter wanted to know. I put all sorts of plastic things in. Let me have a look. I don't know whether it says on the packet. I don't know. That's a question.
The casing might be.
The casing probably
but the
is.
adhesive inside would need taking
Crack it open.
Yeah.
Take any remnants of the adhesive and the
roll. Yeah.
Backing out, and then put the casing in your recycling is what we want to know. Oh wow, now I know what I've been doing wrong with tape pens. These shows are just awesome. I learned so many great things, says Joanne. Well, thank you. I'm only getting a snippet of the conversations, and from what I'm hearing, you are absolutely loving this. Going back to basics, let's have a look, answer your questions, and showing you what to do. Now, Jan's got one very quick thing before we sign off.
Just really quickly, I did actually, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, on the large guillotine, we've got sort of just over 6 inches on the main part of the guillotine, but it has, in the edge here, it's got that little extension arm, which if you lift the foot down to make sure everything's level, you've then got the facility to go up to your 12, just over 12 inches here, which is where your 12 by 12 cardstock comes in. So good spot.
You need to click it up and put the foot there. So you have to have the foot.
It wants to be level, otherwise it's not going to be straight. And then to put it away, it's almost on like a little spring. You just press gently here and it tucks back underneath this one and it'll go back inside and click into place so that it's nice and snug.
That we could hear that clicking into place. Thank you, whoever that was. That is absolutely perfect. Right, well, I hope you like that. That was a bit fast-paced, but hopefully we've covered all of your essential tools. You can see them here, guillotines, tape pens, scoreboards, tweezers, everything that you might like. So that's Jan and myself done for this evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching, and for all of you that came back for show after show. We really, really do appreciate it. Now, tomorrow, we have got a craft along with our Craig and Debbie. Do we know what the craft along is featuring? Oh, it's the birthday box. I love that. All those balloons and cakes. So our Debbie will be making something for you to craft along with. We've also got a first look at the pop-up vases. Oh, I've got a show with those at Hobby Maker, and then Michelle's got them here next week, so that's really exciting. Then it is, and this is huge because I've seen how Jake's been getting this ready, it is the Black Friday wrap-up show. So it's not really, it's sort of Second Chance Sunday, but the Black Friday wrap-up. It is a huge show and some amazing, amazing deals. So if you've been umming and ahhing about anything that we've shown you on a really good deal all this week, whether it's with Sarah, Leanne, Craig or whoever has been on this week, then please tune in tomorrow. That'll be at 6 p.m, I believe, yes. 6 p.m. tomorrow night for our Black Friday wrap-up. It'll be absolutely brilliant. So, Jen and I are both off back down the A1. We're going back to our retrospective homes. I will be back here on Friday. I had to think about that. And Jan, you're back here on
I've got
Wednesday.
2 days next week. I'm actually here Wednesday and Thursday next week.
Double Jan?
Yeah, double Jan. So Wednesday date was November, Thursday date is actually the 1st of December, can you believe? Yeah. But yeah, I'm here for 2 full days, got some fabulous shows lined up, including a craft along.
Perfect. And then I'm back on Thursday. So that will be Friday rather. That will be absolutely brilliant. So thank you for joining us. I hope that's been a really useful set of shows we've done over today. And until next week, Jan and I would love to say good night. We'll see you next week.